What's up guys, Needs here coming at you with another retro deck profile. Today we're going to be looking at Alex Vansant's top 4 Machina Gadget list from YCS Toronto. The final of this event was an X-Saber mirror match, but there were also Light Sworns and Gladiator Beasts and things like that at the event. This event also had D-Rev as a legal set. It just come out the month prior. So I really like this format because I really like D-Rev as a set, and I really like the cards that were added in D-Rev, and I really like what D-Rev did for this deck. Down below, there will be some duels of us playing this deck, and be sure to like and subscribe for more retro format content. Let's get right into the list. So to start the list off, we do have our 6 gadgets, so 2 red, 2 yellow, and 2 green. Just going +1, really good. Being able to just search each other out, keep going. Opening the rainbow really sucks. Another thing is if you want to use your fortress play, the best place to do it is right after you've gone red, then yellow, then green, or some variation of that, so that when you draw the, like it doesn't matter which gadget you draw next, the last 3 of that cycle will continue if that is something you're looking at doing. Another interesting thing about this is if you're, from a collector standpoint, the text change from Turbo 8, so green and red were in Turbo 8, but yellow was in Turbo 7, so if you notice, in between those sets is when the text size changed. So we have the bigger text, and then we have the smaller text from Turbo 7 to 8. Not sure why they decided to switch that up, but, yeah, they put them in different sets for some reason. They held out. We only had one Super Gadget between Turbo 7 and 8. For our Machina engine, we only play 2 Fortress. We don't play any Revival cards. Cannon was not out yet, but we don't play like the big level 10 from the structure deck. Force, I believe. We also play 3 Gearframe to search. You'd think, okay, well, 3 Gearframe, 2 Fortress, the ratios don't add up. We also play 2 Peacekeeper. So you can kind of go Gearframe, add Peacekeeper, set Peacekeeper, Gearframe, just to stall until you draw a back row, so that way you're continuing to float. But another interesting thing is, if you can equip Peacekeeper just like you would equip Gearframe, but when Peacekeeper is destroyed, regardless of where it's destroyed, you get to search. So if you summon Fortress, normal summon Peacekeeper, equip this. If the Fortress would be destroyed, you destroy Peacekeeper, and when Peacekeeper is destroyed, you get to search Gearframe. So you can keep your cycle going to where you can search out Gearframe when this is destroyed, and you can protect your Fortress. Fortress is obviously just a really good boss monster. The ability to just, the fact that if they target it, you get to see your opponent's hand, and then you get to pick off cards when it's destroyed by battle. So it usually gets one of those 2 effects off, except for things like Mirror Force, Dark Hole, Torrential, things like that. And then we play 3 other monsters. We play 1 Card Trooper. This is really important to be able to tie with Thunder King, and it's a machine that you can obviously ditch for Fortress if you need to. Fortress's summon condition is really wonky to where you can pitch itself, includes itself when you pitch it, regardless of whether or not there's one in your graveyard. 1 Gale, just to be our tuner of the deck. Card cuts Stardust. Card's really good in a lot of different things. And then 1 Reaper, the idea to have a monster that we can sit on. We can pick cards out of our opponent's hand, so it's an offensive threat and it's a defensive threat, especially in a format with Knock not seeing much play, if any. And then we'll get on to the spells. This is kind of a divisive card. 1 limiter removal. I really like the inclusion in this deck because the gadgets are, again, so small, but you can take games out of nowhere with this card. It's really good. Like we said with D-Rev, we have 3 Pot of Duality. This is a great card to make sure our hand, we can get what we need, consistency's sake. We don't special summon a whole bunch. We don't really synchro summon. We're not a synchro spam deck. And we can function without our boss monster because we play a lot of defensive cards. So it's not necessarily important that we put Fortress on board immediately. We can kind of hang back and relax a little bit. And we don't have to, we could just, summon a gadget, search, and then set 2 or 3 cards and feel fine next turn, especially if we don't have a monster. The fact that we have 6 normal summons that are our main engine and we know that we're going to keep going, we can typically wait a turn. And then the best feeling of having 5 gadgets and then drawing this card and being able to summon the 6th one and just keep going, so essentially be playing 12. The 1 Pot of Avarice. Also really good to recycle with your Machina engine as well. because our gadgets are so small, we have some 1-for-1 removal. This is my favorite spell card of all time. We have 3 smashing. Again, this is a great non-targeting way to get rid of guys that we don't want to deal with. And then we also play the 1 of Dark Hole. Again, clearing monsters off the board. And then a couple staple things. We have 1 Reborn and 2 MSTs. And that'll be it for the spells. We'll move on to the traps here. For some summon stops, we have 1 Torrential Tribute. We also have 2 Bottomless. This is the card Fortress seeing the least. This is not fun getting Bottomless. The limited and not fun card of Royal Oppression. I've always said that the game is the most fun in between Oppression and Emptiness. But at 1, it's not too bad. And we have, as long as we have more legal MSTs than we have legal Royal Oppressions, it's typically fine. If in one of the duels in the description, you will see this card. Just absolutely grind the game to a halt. But it is, I don't know, it's part of the game. It's part of the game's history. But yeah, it is definitely one of the not as bright spots in the game's history, in my opinion. I know a lot of people really like this card. It's not really great in the Teledad mirror in terms of the fun aspect. A lot of people will play that mirror without this card because it just makes it not fun. It's whoever has dad first. For battle traps, we have 1 Mirror Force. Then we also have 3 D-Prisons. This is a really good way to get around things like Stardust as well. And just to protect our gadgets to keep, even though we don't really care about them, the fact that we can get a bigger monster off board. We don't have to worry about beating over things. We don't play things like Shrink like we would have years ago, back in like 07 or something like that. But we can play this card to make sure we get rid of bigger monsters and make sure we're bigger with this, with the Smashing Grounds, with the Mirror Force. We can maintain our field presence and then keep going +1 and keep going through our cycle. And then the last 4 traps, we have the 4 no guys. We have 1 Solemn Judgment, and it's the only deck I get to play this in, 3 Solemn Warnings. I love the fact that this is the format right after D-Rev was released. Solemn Warning hadn't gone to 2. I love being able to play 3 Solemn Warnings. It's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend, if you're going to play September 2010, to try this deck because of this. It's a really fun grind-based deck, and it's a lot of fun to see the interactions and the exchanges in the 1-for-1 department, and using this card correctly, using a lot of your 1-for-1 cards correctly, and getting the most value out of your cards, which is, for me, when Yu-Gi-Oh! Is at its highest point. And we'll get on to the extra deck. We do only play 1 tuner, but we play Monster Reborn. He did side 1 copy of Effect Veiler, so that's the only way he was able to make this, the 1 of Armory Arm. A lot of this stuff is basically filler. The most things you're going to be making is 7s with Gadget and the Blackwing with our Gale. We have 1 Catastor, 1 Android. Another reason why I like this format, we have still have the unneutered Goyo. I really like Goyo Guardian. I'm fully aware this card is very broken for its time, but I like playing with Goyo because it's such a small window. Bigger than Dark Strike Fighter, but it is a small window to where Goyo was legal. We have our 1 Brio. We did have the first few Hidden Arsenals. No Hidden Arsenal 4 for a while. Even halfway into the next format, we still didn't have our Trishula. 1 Black Rose. 1 Scrap Archfiend has certainly played this. This is a really cool card. I like just having beat sticks. I think it's really important to be able to just have beat sticks, especially 7. Again, 1 Armor Master because we play Gale, and the non-tuner aspect is generic. This is only for Reborn plays, but we could take Lila, use its effect, and then summon Gale, and then use its effect, and then make this. So there are plays when this card ends up coming off or getting summoned. For 8s, we have the 1 of Stardust. Again, D-Rev, so 1 Scrap Dragon. I love Scrap Dragon. It's cool to see it here. We do side Cyber Dragon as well, so 8s are relatively accessible. 1 Red Dragon Archfiend. 1 Colossal Fighter. 1 Mist Wurm. Like I said, no Trish, so we have the 1 Mist Wurm. And the card that absolutely dunks on us, the 1 Chimeratech Fortress Dragon. This card, anytime you see a Cyber Dragon, it's immediately flip the Warning, flip the Bottomless. Don't let your opponent contact, because they're going to go into this. They're going to take anything you have on your board gone. This card kills Fortress. If you have Fortress on board, you have to be careful with Cyber Dragon and things like that. So it always is good to be mindful when this card, or of this card, when you're playing against it. So let me know what you guys think of the deck. Be sure to check out the duels, and thanks for watching, guys.